Okay, welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us. I'm Phil Ryan, Tricycle's executive editor, and I'm happy to be here with you today for this special conversation and reading with Dr. Peggy Rowe Ward. And we'll also be joined by Reggie Hubbard and from Active Peace Yoga, and Emmanuel Ward, Larry's son, I think is joining us a little later. So a few notes before we start. Right now your microphones are muted, but we will hold a Q&A later, and we will ask you to unmute and ask a question. And you can do this by raising your Zoom hand, which you'll see at the bottom of your screen, or typing in the chat. And please be aware, if you ask a question on video, you will be part of the recording, which we will be sharing later. So I am pleased to be here with you today with our guest, Dr. Peggy Rowe Ward. Dr. Ward has a doctorate in adult education and a master's in counseling psychology. She's a senior Dharma teacher in Thich Nhat Hanh's Plum Village lineage, and co-author of Making Friends with Time and Love's Garden, A Guide to Mindful Relationships, which she wrote with her husband, Larry. She is certified to teach gentle yoga and combines art, music, movement, and yoga in her practice. Dr. Ward is married to Dr. Larry Ward, beloved senior Dharma teacher and Baptist minister who passed away August 19th. Together, they were co-founders of the Lotus Institute, and we'll share more information about that in the chat. And we're here with Peggy to honor Larry's legacy and to hear about his just published book of poetry, Morning Night Poems on Spirit, Race, and Nature. Released after Dr. Ward's passing, this book, as well as his memory, carries on his call for collective healing and his belief that peace is always within reach. Okay, welcome, Peggy.
Welcome, Phil. Thanks for being here and thanks for inviting us.
Thank you. I think we want to start with some poetry reading, right? And so Reggie Hubbard.
Yeah, I want Reggie on screen with me, so I've got some friends here. And thank you, friends, for joining us today to honor Larry. And Reggie is here. Is Camilla. Remember Camilla? She wrote the beautiful article for Tricycle, and thank you, Tricycle, for publishing that and some of Larry's talks. But she wrote this wonderful poem to Reverend Doctor. And Reggie, if you can come on down on the screen. There you are. You can say something about yourself if you want to too, like where the heck are you?
Yeah, peace and blessing to all from the unceded territory of the Piscataway Nation in Maryland. This is my meditation space, my mindful music room. And Peggy, I'm going to play a clips later. I bought a gong dedicated to Larry and named it True Great Sound. So there is a gong in my ensemble that is loud. And it's right over there behind these pipes. So yeah, Larry's gong is there, True Great Sound, and boy, does it pack a punch.
So thanks, Reggie.
Yeah.
I was telling Phil that we met you at Mind and Life a couple of years ago, and we just fell madly in love with you and your wife, Alexis. So really appreciate you coming forward to some of these memorial events because we can all feel your love and your joy. And so I'm just grateful for you. So you said you'd read this beautiful piece that Camilla wrote.
Totally. And I want to thank you for the invitation to serve in tribute to Larry's life. Like one of his last emails to me was like, "Hey, Reggie, can you help me with my book?" And so I said yes. And what a blessing it is to help in a posthumous way, right? To help continue not just the lineage, but the spirit. Larry and I shared a lot in common. I grew up in the Baptist church, so I bring that fire of like Baptist and activist, but also into like yogic and dharmic spaces. So thank you for allowing me to be here in tribute and in love. So without further ado, a song for Reverend Doctor by Dr. Camila Majid. You love the natural world and returned us to the trees and the seas, encouraging us to take our woes to the woods, to breathe this gift of air into our burdens, lifting them, to fly aloft on the winds of transmutation. You encouraged us to plant seeds of kindness and courage, always. Emerging from the earth in this lifetime as a black bodhisattva, an African ancestor carrying the djembe of justice in your jaw. Woo! You are forever an exemplar of Aditana as you endure a lifetime of racism with Upeka in a way that showed us how to face this world before us now. Like a venerable Vimalakirti, you used your illness as a symbol of what could be transcended, laughing with us in joie de vivre. You were triumphant over the pains racking your body. You knew yourself to be a sacred being first, one whose spirituality could not be confined to only one religious understanding of our limitless capacities. You knew that enlightenment is augmented by knowledge of all spiritual paths. As a teacher, your range was vast. You could tie the bell chant to bell hooks. You eased our souls, even in silence. With your very being grounded in your Dharma body, you exuded compassion, embodying the inherent compassionate life force of the universe itself. Reverend Dr. Ward, you were a sagacious sovereign who ruled over his own mind and heart. What a wonder that is, to be the master of your own life. Through countless moments of skillful self-regulation, you defeated racism with your heart, you defeated greed with your soul. Our friend, this king has won, and his victory shines right there. See it? It's the light, flickering through the tears in our eyes. May we weep always with joyful remembrance, refreshing ourselves in the rivers of wisdom you led us to.
Thanks, Reggie. That was beautiful.
Thank you.
Can you say something from the African American? Oh, bring him back. Bring him back. Something from the African American perspective of why we have the Reverend Doctor for Larry.
I mean, I think from my perspective is that to be a minister is nothing to trifle with, right? I can speak from my own experience. Like I was called to be a teacher long before I said yes, right? So like to carry the label of minister means not only that you got the calling, but that you put in the work. So it's not something, you know, in some dharmic spaces these days, and even in yoga spaces, people throw these titles around. But Reverend Doctor, at least from my lineage and tradition, shows that you put in the work, not just in terms of like the study, but also the practice of your beliefs.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. And I felt that's so true for Larry. It's one of the only things I've ever had to frequently correct on our Vita or biography was a little saying Larry was a Baptist minister, and I'll go, no, Larry is a Baptist minister. This understanding that it's more like the Russian as nesting dolls, that it's all of the above that you get. Yeah. Thank you. It was beautiful. Oh, back to just me. Did you have a question?
Peggy, do you want to read anything from the book?
Oh, well, I brought these amazing men to read, but there is one I wanted to read today because it's really speaking to me today. And I think it's in the new book. One of the challenges is I gave all my copies away. That's something.
And Reggie wants to read one more too.
Yeah, put Reggie up while I dig out this one. Sorry.
All right. No problem.
Yeah.
So teamwork makes the dream work, and
Yes.
I would read that whole book if we had time for it, like for everybody, right? So I'm going to read the poem that I read last week at the initial launch of the book, and it's in the new book, Sit With Me. Because I just think that, I mean, I've read the book, but I've read this one like 12 times. So like there are poems that you read, you're like, okay. And then there's one that you're just like, hello, like you're speaking to me right now. So It spoke to me, so may it now speak to you. Sit with me. Where are you running to, my friend? With your mind dizzy with the things of the world and your stomach bloated from too much. Please stop. Come home. Sit with me in the cool night air. Listen to the sound of the garden trees and the silence of the night. See the miracle of the spider web in front of your face, with its luminous lines connecting heaven and earth. Relax and enjoy your breathing. One day, everything we see, touch, feel, and imagine will all disappear. Smile while you are in the here and now. Let all of your worries and fears float down the river of tears. No need to cling, fluttering in the wind as prayer flags.
Mm. Mm. Thanks, Reggie. Where does that get you today? Where do you notice that one today?
Um, so I'm in the occupied territory of Washington, D.C., and it's election day. So various aspects of my life, I mean, various constituencies that I minister to in my political work are right. So to keep their energy from impacting my peace, sit with me is an invitation, because it's very easy. Everyone's freaking out for all the reasons. And I'm a minister to that community because that's where the universe placed me. So to sit in community, this seat, actually, the seat that I've taken with you all is a respite and a refuge. Thank you, Sangha. A respite and a refuge from the tumultuous crazy in Washington, D.C. So that's how it's landing for me right
Thank you, Reggie. That's wonderful. That's wonderful. And I did find the one I was looking for,
now.
because it's what's landed in me right now. And it's called In the Changing Room. White and red dogwood trees reach towards blue sky. Yellow daffodils shoot up from the earth. Bright forsythia everywhere, swaying. The warmth of the sun, the freshness of spring is in me too, opening, growing, smiling to life. There's not much time left. The earth continues to turn. I am certain now of what I must do. I am out of rhythm with the one who knows. I steal moments to come home to myself. In the still of the night, I sing the songs of silence. At the dawn of the day, I find my breath in the gentle rain. Robins sing outside my window. I hear the sound of ducks winging their way across the pond. It takes time to offer the best to myself. I have been out of rhythm with myself, and it makes me sad. A beam of moonlight changed everything. A ride on the perfume river brought me all the way home, floating, candles on the water. Heart wishes drift across the pond. Please take me to the pagoda, says the abbot. Please stay, if only I could. I am here now, waking up in the changing room of my soul's department store. I am becoming what my young self once knew, gazing at stars from the attic window, following a yellow and green caterpillar on the sidewalks of Cleveland to new worlds. Books, poems, songs, preaching love, and being in love is all I ever wanted. And I especially love that because that really, books, poems, songs, preaching love, and being in love is all I ever wanted. Really captures the Larry I first met 35 years ago and the one when I still know in my heart. But the changing room of my soul's department store is why that poem's touching me now. Because in my own journey right now, Larry and I met in our 40s. So we were whole people when we connected, and we created this whole new thing, this new person. And now I want to try to be a bigger we. I can't become an I. And so this is my changing room to see how I can continue to be another kind of we, because I extremely miss the we I was with Larry. Oh.
Peggy, you shared a little bit earlier about the process for writing the book. Can you tell us how Larry put this together and what inspired it?
Well, there's a few people in the room I saw that have helped. We taught annually in Ohio for over 20 years, and our good friend, beloved friend, Grace Franklin, who also worked on our board, was a retired librarian. So she was perfect. So she kept things, she recorded things, and she tracked poems. And then another great friend, Karen Hillsberg, who was also on our board for a decade from LA. She's also a do-it person and gets things done. And so she and Grace both put together the first book of 50 poems that they entitled Revolutionary Poems. And it's taken a little while since then, but I really credit Grace and Karen. And then I got much better at trying to save things. I don't have that librarian DNA in me like Grace does. And Karen is like super organized. I mean, she came out to help me move because she said moving is one of my superpowers. And so Karen does have this superpower, as does Grace. And they're already working on the second book of poems. But the poems themselves emerged whenever we did a retreat. And I'm going to continue to do this. We asked people to write a letter to us the first night. And they didn't have to sign it, but they did have to check in and see where they were and what would nourish them, what would support their practice, what could we create together. And after those were written to us, we would read them and put them on the bell and read them every day and put them on the altar. And then the poem would emerge for the community from those letters. And so that's also where some of the letters come from. And then he wrote a lot more poems when we were teaching. And we taught a lot, especially during the first Trump administration. That was the anecdote to our despair, was to massively teach. So we were really teaching that year. Oh my gosh. And so there were a lot more poetry that came out of that chapter because we were doing so much teaching. So I don't know if that captures it, but it was how Larry would come home to himself was with this writing. And the title of the book, Morning Night, Larry used to get up at 4. And in that's what it was called, morning night, that time of day. And that's when a lot of the poems would come to him. And also one time we were at Plum Village, he said he was out at 2 a.m. walking around, not sleeping, and he ran into Thich Nhat Hanh. And Thich Nhat Hanh said, "Oh, not sleeping?" I said, "Yeah, I'm not sleeping." And he said, Thich Nhat Hanh said, "Well, that's when I write a book." So, so Thich Nhat Hanh had really also seeded that in him, I feel. He said, that's when I write my books. And then he just walked away, and Larry was left thinking, oh, okay, I think I'm supposed to not walk, but I'm supposed to write a book.
So the poetry is really intertwined with the practice, with the teaching.
Very much so. Very much so. And that's what to me is so amazing about the book, because it's really about his practice, Larry's practice. I've probably read all 50 Thich Nhat Hanh books. I don't know, maybe there's 60, but there's only a few of them that address when Ty was really struggling. One of them is called Fragrant Palm Leaves. And he speaks in that book about his despair with the war, and he speaks of a transformation he had in that book. But Larry's book is full of these stories of what he did with his despair and what he did with his practice and what he did to keep opening his heart. And that's what I think is so revolutionary about these poems. Particularly, I love the race chapter. And there's a bunch I'm going to need some help editing with because he wasn't well enough to do any of the editing. There's a series on privilege that I'd really like to get written because a lot of white body people don't understand privilege. And these poems really spoke to that, to me, that how do we see what we can't see?
Reggie shared in the chat, he's also massively teaching right now.
Yeah.
Thank you, Reggie. How did
I don't have a
Larry,
choice. I don't have a choice. Like, what do I do with this? Like here, you know?
I agree. I think it's just the best thing to do with it instead of wallowing in despair. And we also felt really called to help our friends because we knew most of our friends uh, felt moved in the same political direction that we did and wanted to have an ethically sound society to live in. And we're committed to justice. So we also wanted to support our friends um, and in doing so support ourselves so that we could keep our hearts open. I still don't, I don't want to close down my heart. I don't want to other. I want to do what I can to keep my heart as big as it can be. Reggie's giving me hand signals. What would you add?
No, I'm just saying like it's as I told y'all earlier, the reason I chose Sit With Me again, A, because I love to read it, but B, in this moment, like it forces me to sit and it forces me to remember A, the beauty of presence, but also the reality of impermanence, right? Like so one of my friends this weekend, I've been holding a practice period for the fall season, but also I've had a lot of grief and loss in my life, and so I find that I have to teach from that. I can't just keep it to myself. And one of my friends said to me, Reggie, I'm so glad that you kind of came out of the shadows and started teaching again because some of us are lost. And it's not that you have found something, but you teach us that practice helps us find our way through these things. So most of you don't know this, but like I'm a stroke survivor. Like I had a stroke on April 1st, 2024. And mindfulness and yogic practice are the thing that allowed me to navigate neurological devastation and a near-death experience at 49. And so we as a society have had like a near-death neurological experience, and so the wisdom that I have harvested from the dark night of going through this experience has to be shared. Otherwise, why did I go through that experience, right? So like I resonate with what you offer at a soul level because you know when we met at Garrison, like it was like 2 months after my stroke, and people are like, why are you teaching? I was like, because I have to. I have to share this, and may my suffering be of benefit to the liberation of all beings, right? Like I'm not going through this for nothing. So I totally, like as you can tell from my passion at a soul level, know that I have to massively teach now and massively support the work. Like when you, so most of y'all don't know this. Like this is a kind of a last minute addition for me to be here, and I was like, yeah, Peggy, for sure, because I have to share like wisdom and love from the heart with my friends. So thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Reggie. He said last minute invitations is his love language. So I thought that was great because we weren't sure about if Emmanuel could make it. And we really wanted some readers of poems here. Yeah. See, Phil, you got a question or do you want to hear another
yeah, I
poem?
was going to ask you how
Hmm.
did Larry connect with Thich Nhat Hanh? How did that come about?
Well, that was me.
Well,
I
that's a good story for you to tell then.
yeah, I was widowed when I was 39. So this is my second time being widowed. And experience, in my experience, has not helped. So often experience seems to help, but I don't think it does. But I had a friend that was going to a Thich Nhat Hanh retreat, and I had never heard of him. And I knew to go. And I'm a path of devotion kind of person. I saw that the title was Peace in Every Step, and I saw his face and I showed up. And I felt some hope for my life. I felt I could do the work to come back to life. And Larry was an old friend of mine. He knew my husband, Steve, and we ended up dating and starting a business together. And I said, well, listen, if you want to understand me, you don't have to have the same teacher I've got, but I want you to meet Thich Nhat Hanh. And I want you to understand why I'm going to be gone at least a month a year to be with him. And so I don't want that to be a problem in our relationship. So he went to his first retreat, and it was the same thing for him. He said when he saw Thich Nhat Hanh walk across the stage, that was it.
Were you practicing before then, or was Thich Nhat Hanh your introduction to Buddhist practice?
It was really, Larry had been practicing when he lived in India, but I hadn't been. I found the books, the Buddhist books, pretty uncomfortable for my learning style, in that they were very, think back to the 80s and they were very analytical for the most part, mental. That's not me. And yeah, I always thought I must be a Buddhist or a Taoist, but I could never get through the books. And prior to Thich Nhat Hanh, I worked mostly with Native American teachers and medicine people. But what Thich Nhat Hanh helped me with is to become a very grounded mystic. I had a mystical tendencies before Thich Nhat Hanh, but Thich Nhat Hanh got me in my body, got me grounded. That and a lot of yoga.
And then you and Larry, of course, got married, but you shared a lot more than that. You shared a spiritual and creative partnership. So, and that started, sounds like early on. You said you started a business.
We did. The same year, Thich Nhat Hanh married us in 1994. And in 1994, I got my doctorate. I was ordained as a Buddhist minister. Larry was ordained as a Buddhist minister, and we got married. So I was
Wow.
Reverend Dr. Mrs., and it was like, and it exploded from that point on. It was like, so Thich Nhat Hanh was real clear with us. He met with Larry and I 3 times and told us he wanted us teaching right away. We couldn't use the title. That's something else. But that he wanted us to teach the Dharma our way. And I was really glad that he did that, especially the 3 times. It's like, okay, we're going to do this a little differently. And we continue to want to do it differently. Right now, we're wanting to expand the ages of the folks that we're working with. The youngest and the oldest, we can get together, intergenerational, and of course, wildly BIPOC and global, as we see that for a future to be possible. We've got to mix it up a bit with all these things.
How do you see work? So tell us a bit about the Lotus Institute and tell us how you see that going forward now. I think you're alluding to it, but
Yeah, well, I'm a hard person to ask right now because I'm in the changing room of my soul's department store. And so, um, but we do have an amazing team. Muna from Egypt, Celeste in Texas, um, Matt in Canada, and we're picking up a few of our good friends to help us teach this fall and winter. Tamara Kress and Brett Cook. We're going to be doing a program called Anamkara again on how to. One thing we found is that people needed help on and support in a new way, and spiritual direction doesn't capture it because that's been autocratic, patriarchal, and top down. So we wanted to create a training program where people could learn how to be present for another person. And so that's what that program is, the Anamkara. And we picked up some grant money to help us and some great friends. So we're working on that. Then Larry's dream was Midnight Path, and we're going to do that again. We're going to do it a little differently. That was about embodying the paramitas. So a very embodied approach to each of the paramitas. And that was the body part is also part of everything we're doing is how to get it right here in our heart, in our body, in our skin. And that's going to help us find a way through. But the team, I don't know exactly what's going to happen with me. So I'm just kind of lucky to get up in the morning right now and have a funny little dog here that keeps me letting me know what's going on with me. His current thing is eating the seat belts in the car. So that lets me know I've got some more inner work to do since he's my mirror. So if I think I'm doing great, my dog's eating the seat belts, I've got some more to go.
I worked with Celeste. Celeste was really wonderful to work with. I worked with
He's
Celeste.
amazing.
Yeah. Larry, Larry and I worked on a visiting teacher interview for Tricycle a few months back, which was really a privilege. And he was talking a lot about St. Francis of Assisi at that time. Was that something was St. Francis on his mind? This is a few months back.
Well, we had a St. Francis in our yard in Rhode Island, and Francis was a favorite of both of ours. Have you been to Assisi? Have you, Reggie?
No.
Have you been to Assisi? Oh, it's amazing. It's got good juju. There's St. Francis, St. Clair, their bodies are there. It's a holy place. And yeah, St. Francis, I've always been a fan of St. Francis, and so was Larry. But going to Assisi really, really knocks it in you.
Yeah, Larry went multiple times, he said, right? More than
Yeah,
once to Assisi.
yeah. It kind of knocks you to your knees. It's a field of energy to feel that sublime craziness of Francis and the total wonderment of nature and animals, the friendship there, that joy. And that joy can be revolutionary. And Reggie, I want you to speak to joy as a revolutionary act, because this is why you're alive.
Yeah, seriously. So especially in the context where we find ourselves, societal conditioning, especially in the United States, is towards despair. And oh my God, this will never happen, or all these other things. And so I'm so blessed that Dharma found me towards the latter part of my political activism because I really understood the nature of impermanence and understood the nature of how my present actions can hasten the impermanence of things that I don't find just or love or kind. And so joy as a revolutionary practice is especially if you have ever gone through something like a stroke and you lost the ability to walk and you lost the ability to think. Yo, I walked in here on my own. I'm talking to you now with full cognition and not fatigue. Like glory, like that is a joyous experience, even with the fall of empire right now. So keeping a level of joy about the basics is key to not just being overwhelmed, not overwhelmed by what's happening, but that joy is your birthright. That joy is akin and connected to your true nature. Like we're not our soul is not programmed to be wah, wah. Our soul is programmed to be like ebullient and effervescent, right? And so
Yeah.
connecting to that, especially when norms are like depressing your spirit, that revolution is essential, but also quite lovely to share, you know?
Thanks, Reggie.
Absolutely.
So it looks like Emmanuel's here.
Emmanuel is here.
So can we bring him in? Yeah, and it's about time for a poem, but oh,
Yeah.
thank you, Reggie. That was fabulous.
My honor.
There he is. Oh, I thought you were
Welcome,
in
Emmanuel.
Mexico, but I'm seeing the Northern Lights. I'm totally
Yeah,
confused.
I just commuted back from Mexico over the last few hours over the last day or so. So I'm now back in California. Actually, let me do this. Nobody can hear me. How about now? Is that better? Still can't hear
That's
me?
better.
Holly, I saw you shaking. Can you hear me okay? Just say, okay, just sort of okay. Okay. And then the format today, and pardon me, I just joined. So
Well, I
we're
want
gonna,
to introduce you first, and I
oh,
know you've
perfect.
got 3 poems,
Yep.
and I don't know, but this is Larry's son, Emmanuel, and you might notice some resemblance. I think you got most of the DNA,
Yeah.
and you're just back from Mexico.
Just back from Mexico. I spent the week there. during, they have a couple celebrations of last week, both the art, like this week, like we do here, Halloween, and also, but even more significantly, Day of the Dead, where people take time to acknowledge, celebrate, and even communicate with their ancestors. And so, given what's happened this year, I felt really compelled to be there for that, and participated in that ceremony with others.
Yeah.
So that was good. That was good.
Thanks. And I recognize what you're wearing.
Oh yeah, there's a little bit of that going on too. So
That was on this shirt that Larry loved.
yeah.
And yeah, well, thanks for joining us today.
Yeah. Do we, should I go into all three poems at once, or do we want to kind of split them up across?
Phil, what do you think?
Oh, however you feel moved to deliver them.
Okay. Well, I'll start with one and then I'll pause and we can kind of see how we feel. Okay. This first one, it's interesting. I'm newer to the Buddhist practice. I can thank Peggy and Larry for kind of bringing me into that fold. One of the things I wanted to do is not just bow, but also I want to read the poem called I Bow. So, I bow. I saw compassion appear in the hillsides and valleys of this world. Beloved community, climbing hope's holy mountain, sitting under an emerald umbrella, sitting under an emerald Buddha in a cave of light, called me back to my breath. I remembered my death, life's mystery dancing before my very eyes. Heart remembers, above and below, sounds of angels' whispers. I bow. There are two more selections that I have.
But
Emmanuel, we're being told hard to hear, someone said. So whatever
you
we
get
can
your
do to
volume
turn-
up.
I don't know if I can adjust this is the same computer I used before. Let's see if we can do that. Also, I'll just try to
You can project. I know you can.
I will overcome the technological issues here and just use a more powerful voice, see if that works. Okay. Okay. Moving on. Also that. Let's see here. Moving on to the next selection. We have my teacher, my breath. Because of you, my feet are planted on higher ground. The sun in my heart still shines. Even though I walk through the waves of birth and death caused by the conditions of this world, I remain fearless. My path is clear. I surrender. I lay down. I lay down my burden of pain by the riverside. I wake up each day hoping the world won't break my heart, but it does, again and again. Break it open, I say. I call on you to help me not to be fallen at the flood, carried away in the flows of fear, anger, and regret. May the holy ground of forgiveness catch me when I fall, from the ubiquitous grace that, like the moonlight in the darkness of my night, lights up my path. My teacher, my breath, keep me close to the heartbeat of my precious life and to my heart's call, ever widening until the pain of all beings I can recognize as my own.
Well, thanks, Emmanuel. Now, Larry wrote that when we learned of Thich Nhat Hanh's death.
Mm.
Mm.
And It was a beautiful poem, beautiful reading of it. Can everybody hear him now? I want to make sure everybody can hear you, Eman.
Yeah. I have one more, but let me know if the volume needs to be adjusted.
What? Is everybody happy, Phil?
Thumbs up. I saw some thumbs up.
Okay,
Yep.
keep it at that. I did realize now that my voice may have also been strained from cheering for the Dodgers World Series win. So there was that. But I do have one more. And we are there. Let's see.
I hope it's Somebody Stole My Face.
It wasn't.
Oh, you got to do that one.
I wanted to keep it fresh. Well, if I do that, I'll have to do two. Is that all right?
That's okay.
Okay. I'll end it with Somebody Stole My Face. All right. This one is a contemplation on Black Lives Matter. I woke up this morning in a cauldron of fury and sadness. You may not understand my anger because it is filtered through your shame. Shared fires of fury rage in all our bodies. Tears of sadness burn. Stop projecting fear on my darkness. Place yourself in confinement. Recognize your nervous breakdown. Get some rest. Try a little tenderness. Feel something other than pride. Taste the holy nectar of humility. Debate broke out in thought. Asked for centuries, are non-whites human? No one asked, are whites human? The sustainable injustice of American apartheid. I don't want to live in your house. I want to live in my house safely. I don't want your job. I want my job opportunities. I don't want your skin. I want mine unharmed. Found in yard signs, shouted in the streets and villages on our planet. Black lives matter. Black lives have always mattered. Africa is our mother.
That
And,
often.
okay.
We'll get one more. I was saying that often. Maybe the gong for that one, Reggie.
Yeah, maybe.
Reggie's got a new gong, Emmanuel. We're going to give a gong to that. Wonderful.
Let me get to it, and I'll do it at the end of Somebody Stole My Face.
Okay, because
Yeah.
Sounds good. All right. Somebody stole my face. It's my face, man. I tell you, somebody stole my face. I can't seem to stop this river of regret. Black face on the ground, black face in cages, black face in chains, black face, no fun. I tell you, somebody stole my face. When I found it, it was dark like the night's elegant beauty. When I found it, it was in a dreadful theater called The White Man's Burden. When I found it, it was already condemned to live in a basket of lies. I tell you, somebody stole my face, my precious face, man. I hold it in my hands, catching tears of sorrow and joy. I hold it with the kind hands of my ancestors. I hold it turning into many faces, appearing across time and space. I hold it dancing with the cosmos. In this face, the door of eternity swung open. I tell you, somebody stole my face. But I have a secret for you, my friend. Somebody stole your face too. I know you've been searching for it. It's in the time before time. Embrace your wholeness. Lift yourself and all the rest of us to higher ground. And remember, every time you touch your face, George Floyd can no longer have that joy.
thanks, Emmanuel. That was wonderful. And Reggie might tell him about the new gong.
Yeah, Emmanuel, so as you can see, I have a musical menagerie here. Some might call it an addiction. I call it a collection. And upon news of your father's passing, I came across this gong that's just loud and proud. So I named it True Great Sound after, because it's like that gong is that poem. Like, yeah, someone stole my face, and yours, so that big deep thing that you heard was True Great Sound, my gong tribute to Reverend Dr. Larry Ward.
Thanks, Reggie. And Emmanuel, anything you want to say about that poem? I know I wanted you to read that because you lived in Minneapolis, and I know you went back there for the work
Yeah, it's
in the
interesting. So
streets.
yeah, I can speak to that.
Mhm.
As I went through the different poems in Morning Night, there was a lot that just resonated with me for different reasons. Um, and some that I, honorable mentions. I like some chimp stole the mic, just because some of the phrasing, I just found very, in some cases humorous and at the same time deep. But particularly with the somebody stole my face. Not only is it just well written in the way that it's just I felt immediately engaged with the poetry, but at different times in different places. I spent time in the Twin Cities, um, 11 years, half my high school, all my college, and so I was familiar with the community, the Twin Cities community. I have a friend of mine who was actually a Minneapolis detective when George Floyd was murdered, and it created I mean, I had a lot to think about along with everyone else, but I also had some personal relationships um, that I was thinking about during that time. My sister still lived in the Twin Cities at the time. By then, I was living in Los Angeles, um, but I was concerned about um, the Black community, but also about the community at large. We for certain reasons divide ourselves in conversation and context, but it's moments like that we realize we're all in it together. Wherever the pain starts, if we don't manage it, we're all going to hurt. And I have my friend, I was concerned about a lot that day when Minneapolis got hit. I was worried that my friend was actually in the police station when it got burned down. There was just a lot, and but the just because I could talk about this way too long, let me just sum up. Uh, the I felt like it was a way, Larry was touched by that. I was touched by that, and on the work that I did here in Los Angeles, I got fellow employees to go marching on 3 separate occasions um, during those Black Lives Matter protests, even with the military that they sent here to kind of like we've seen recently, but the military that was sent here to make sure that there was no trouble during the protests. Um, all peaceful, all about just trying to get people to recognize our human amidst all the madness. And I thought Somebody Stole My Face spoke really well to that. And it also felt like a way that even though it was like transcendent through time, that even though Larry and I hadn't talked about that poem, and he probably didn't know the moment I was on the streets in LA, that I felt like that poem kind of unifies us in that regard and that concern and that understanding. So
Thanks, man. That was
yeah.
beautiful. And Phil, we got to hear another poem read by Reggie, but I didn't know if you had something from your end.
Well, I was going to open up to questions, but let's hear the poem from Reggie, and
Yeah,
then we'll
I
ask
want to hear Reggie poem, and then maybe if we have any
Reggie
time.
poem, then we'll get some questions.
I need one at the ready. So take a question or two, and I will be ready when the time the questions are done.
Perfect. Okay, questions for Peggy, Reggie, or Emmanuel? I had one, Peggy. I was saving it for the end, but I can use it now. What do you think Larry would have wanted people to remember or carry forward most from his teachings? And then we've got Grace with a raised hand, but
Grace might have the answer to this. This is our librarian.
you can think on it and we can hear from Grace.
Peggy, this question is partly humorous and partly very serious. You and Larry moved more than any person I know, and I was in a military family, and I moved a lot. So why? Why did you guys move so much?
Well, there isn't one answer in that. The last 3 moves have been medically connected, and 3 to 4, the last 4. So we haven't had good experiences in medical care, as you know. This is not uniquely our situation. This is our society right now. But some of the, I caused one, and that was leaving Thailand. It was too hot.
Yeah.
But
But
we
what caused
did.
you to go to Thailand and
Well,
to
that
Fashun and to
was
Whidbey and
that
to New
was
Mexico and to Mexico?
well, I don't think to me we've followed a call, and we've been crazy fools in the sense of Don Quixote.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't do it differently. You know, every now and then Larry and I would look at each other. One time when we really needed money, we took $50,000 less on the house so the guy's sister could live next to him. It had just lost her husband. We took 50,000 less than the other offer. I woke up in the morning, I said, Larry, we might have made a mistake. We laughed so much. But I said, but I think we'd do it again, because so our life has been kind of that way. We've been crazy fools for God and for love, and
For us.
and for, yeah, thanks. Reggie, you got a poem?
I do.
Hmm.
A vow.
No, I love that one.
A vow is like the wind at your back, like a path to the ocean above, the Sangha shore. A full and open heart of just one person is enough to change the world. The full and open heart of 2 people can cause the sun and moon to move and the stars to shine brighter than ever.
Yeah, that.
Like, bam.
I know that one kind of was personal for me, because my name is Vow, and my original vow is my name with the Bodhisattva vow. And it was one of the themes with our marriage, because we realized that we had to have a relationship with each other and with ourselves and with the world. And so that was where that vow came in, that somehow all 3 of those, for us to be healthy and holy, had to happen. And we learned that the hard way. I think we both had a difficult marriage where we only wanted the one other person to do something, or we had just served the world. Larry did that more than I did. Just serve the world. But we realized it had to have all 3. And I loved that, because it captured what I feel with a shared vow, what can happen with a shared vow. So thanks for sharing that.
Any more questions, or does anyone want to share a memory? We've got some nice notes in the chat.
I have a memory.
All right.
I'm Heather, bowing in. I remember going to a 5-day retreat, probably in Estes Park or someplace, with Larry and Peggy, or maybe it was even some other one earlier, but I had no idea I was a bodhisattva. It seemed like way too big for me to be, way too far up in the future. And as soon as Larry told us all that we were bodhisattvas, we walked around differently. I certainly walked around differently. I remember going to, other places after that workshop and that retreat, and like looking at the flowers and just like walking through the world differently, just knowing that I am already a bodhisattva. And it was such a gift to help me embody my Buddhist practice even more. So I will miss Larry, I already do, and I will hold that and carry that with me forever.
Thanks, Heather.
Yeah.
That to me, Phil, that answers your question. That was the core of our work, was to help people recognize that they were bodhisattvas, and to recognize their own unique holiness and their qualities and gifts and talents and ways that they could serve the world. Han in Thich Nhat Hanh means action. And so it was about how that bodhisattvaness, to help people see that we are right in the middle of a sacred life, a holy life, right now, even with the messes going on. And so the bodhisattva path for everyone. And thanks, Heather. Helped you. That was reminding me. I kind of went into one of my freezes.
That was perfect. Thank you, Heather. Thank you, Peggy. Okay, and we have Phyllis.
Phyllis bowing in. So I just want to provide a different take. I'm a new fan. I'm not sure I'd ever heard of Larry and Peggy Ward before, not too long ago. So I'm incredibly grateful to be a new fan and look forward to reading more of Larry's poetry and listening to his Dharma talks on YouTube, I guess, or online. So thank you very much for doing
Thank you,
this
Phyllis.
and allowing new people to come along.
Well, Phyllis, where do you live? I want to know where my new fan lives.
Oh, I practice with Cloud Floating Free, Plum Village Sangha in Charlottesville, Virginia, and also with the IMCC group here. And I've been attending Lynn Fines and all these online sanghas around the Middle East for a couple of years.
Okay. Thanks, Phyllis.
Thank you.
And we have Salvatore.
Going in. Am I on? I'm off. Okay. You can hear me, right?
Yes.
Excellent. I've been part of Larry's life since the late 60s, in 1968, as a matter of fact, Chicago. We were both in a part of the Institute of Cultural Affairs, and did global kind of community work, restoration around the globe during that whole 60s to even into the 80s and 90s. So I go a long way back with Larry, and Larry's he had the voice. There was a lot of anger in the early voice Larry had, which has been transmuted into these beautiful poems that we've heard already today. How you can see how they went from an extreme rage to this transformation, and allows us all in. We all have lost our faces, and I so appreciate. And of course, I've known Emmanuel since he was a very young kid, and still hang out together in Mexico, which is another part of the story. But nevertheless, just to say that I was in corporate life, and I was able to deliver to the Institute all kinds of resources because I had a high enough position where I was located that I could help provide things during the communication of this wonderful process that went through the global transformation of community development on a global scale. I won't get into that any more than I just did, but other to say that Larry we always hung out together during that period of time, and we were buddies, we were friends, we would play golf together, we would be in sports together, we would just many different levels of enjoyment as he began to develop a very big leadership role in the Institute of Cultural Affairs. And then we all that towards the end of the 90s and into early part of 2000s, he moved into more of the Buddhist tradition that we've just described here. And he was, what I realized just in the last month, 2 months, is he was my go-to guy. He was my go-to guy. When I lost my spouse in the early part of 2003. I lost my voice. I didn't lose my face. I lost my voice. I couldn't find it. I couldn't find my voice. And so I gave Larry a call and I described what was going on. And I said, I need to figure out how I need some support. How do I get a handle on this? How do I find my voice? And I guess that's related to my face. It's part of my face, right? But nevertheless, we talked and he said it would be great if you could meet Thich Nhat Hanh and go through a retreat. He says, that's what I think would be the most helpful thing for you. And I did. 6 months later, when I was able to do that, it changed my life. I came back from the retreat. After a bit of time, I'm an action-oriented person like Larry has been and is. Applied Buddhism is where I am, and so I said I wanted to start a sangha in German Village. Grace is shaking her head over there. And Grace was part of that, and Tetsuo and our friends from Japan were part of that, and several other people. I said Larry's wisdom was you need 3 people. Was don't start. You can't start it. You're on your own. It's not a good, wise thing to do. Have at least 3 other people if you want to start a sangha, and we did, and it was beautiful, and we've been in this movement ever since, and. So I'm grateful that I could be part of that. I always thought I had a leadership role in many companies, but I always thought of myself related to Larry as Don Quixote, and I was kind of Sancho at times, it was like, how do we get this thing going? And we had this camaraderie. And yes, one of the moves that Larry and Peggy made, they even lived in our little community in near Higuera Blanca in Mexico. It's an eco village called Litibu Eco Village, and they became part of that and still are part of that in my heart. And as we express our interest in the environment there. So I'll stop right there and just say that I found my voice. My voice is back and has been for a long time. But thanks to Larry, I deeply will miss my go-to guy. I guess I'm the go-to guy now. Salvatore bowing out.
Thank you, Salvatore. We're over time, but we have a few raised hands that we should get to. Nancy first.
Wait, I want to see, Emmanuel, do they need to go, or Reggie? I want to give them permission to flee if you need to.
Oh
You
yeah,
ready?
yeah. Anyone?
Emmanuel, you okay? Okay.
No, I should go ahead and bow out.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much.
I know you have to get back to work. Thank you.
Thank you, Emmanuel.
Thank you.
Okay, Nancy. If no Nancy, maybe we'll go to Sala and we can get to Nancy next.
Yes, thank you. This has been a place of refuge for me today. Thank you very much. So Peggy, I'm interested in how you will be or have been involving youth, because I think they need our support. I think they're discouraged. Some of them are giving up. Some of them are my own kids. But at the same time, they have so much energy and new eyes that we need to see through, to do things in a different way. So I'm interested in how you are reaching out to youth.
And unmute myself. Thanks for your question because it's critical. Larry and I have just prioritized any of the wake up groups, any of the youth groups, any of the university gigs, any of the under 35 work we could do. It has not been lucrative, but it's been okay. And we're so grateful. We especially have loved going on college campuses. And one of the reasons Grace asked why we moved to Thailand, and that was because we were in a school system there and then a university system. We were K through 12 for a couple of years. And that really gave us a chance to experiment, for one thing, and learn a lot from the kids. Because my experience of young people is that they are mindful. They're already mindful. We just have to help with some conditions and stuff and do some teachings on safety and how to create and build community. But they're already mindful. And it's when I first went to one school there, well, how are you going to teach them to be mindful? I said, they are, they're going to teach us. So it's figuring out how to include them. And there's some sanghas doing a really great job. I can highlight the work in Seattle, Great Tree Zen Temple here in town. She's always had a children's program, children's camp, but we have to do more. And so if you are out there just doing what you can and then listening and learning, our retreats, we've been the last one was age 22 to 82. And both ends spoke at first, said, I don't know what I'm doing with these old people. Then the old people, I don't know what I'm doing with these young people. And then at the end, they were all like, boy, this was great. So that's been our experience teaching the last 7 years in particular. We really got the intergenerational, and we received some grant money to help us make that happen because we found we had to have more scholarship support, and we also had to keep things more last minute. So we could have filled retreats up early and we would have gotten the same old folks. And same old folks are some wonderful same old folks, but we got to keep things open and a little bit more fluid to get the younger folks. I did a retreat in Wisconsin. I think it was 2 summers ago. No, it was this summer. And we had big age spread. And one evening there was 2 plans for the evening. And you could choose one. One was a bonfire and one was a Q&R, question and response. All the younger folks wanted the bonfire. All
Right.
the older folks wanted the Q&R. It was so obvious, but we also that night had 2 choices. And then there's another night when we had everything coming together. So I think just have to be creative and have it fun. And the Dharma is amazing and it's alive and brilliant. And Reggie is such a great example of what I would call the Dharma, which is make it accessible, make it lively, make it fun, make it fresh. It's amazing teachings. Every time I find a new Buddhist sutra, I go crazy because they're all so brilliant and they're also present moment helpful. So yeah, just keep asking around. You'll find your people. I'm one of them that wants younger people. Heather's got some kids. I see your kids must be in high school now, Heather. I think I first met them when they were little boys out collecting antlers in the desert.
Exactly. Now they're in 11th grade and 8th grade,
Oh,
actually.
okay, Heather, that's great.
Thank
Yeah.
you
So
very much.
uh-huh.
I'm working with Peace Jam, which does a lot of that. If you're,
Okay, good. Yeah, it's
yes.
got to be
Thank
fun.
you.
Got to be fun.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you, Sala. Okay, Nancy.
Hi, I'm calling from North Carolina, Californian originally. I've had a vast experience of many different types of religion, including Zen, Vipassana. My question is, so many times, and I would hope that many could address this, so many times we compartmentalize the quote, ways to go in life, whether it be Christian, whether it be Buddhism, whether it be Judaism, anything. And this is fascinating to me that the Lotus Institute and that your husband and Reggie also have incorporated all of it. I loved your opening statement, Peggy, when you said people saw him as that he was, you know, a Christian person, you know, he is. And that fascinates me, the incorporation into all that is, because we all are one, no matter what. All beings relate to each other, all beings have value. What brought that about, and how is that integrated, Reggie, for yourself? Because the compartmentalizing mode has been instilled in us for generations.
Yeah, I wanted Reggie to go for that one. Thanks for asking him. Reggie.
Nancy, thank you for putting me on the spot. And so this brings to mind a story one time where someone asked me, so I grew up in the church, like for real, like evangelism Tuesdays and Wednesday night this and all of that, and did ministerial training when I was younger and those sorts of things, but got disillusioned when I realized that the reason that there is a black church and a white church was because of racism, right? And so I was like, I can't really, the dogma with racism, I couldn't really mess with anymore. So kept Christianity as my foundation, but then in my mid-30s or so fell into yogic and dharmic practice. And at one day at a train stop in Odenton, Maryland, which is like a suburb of Washington in Baltimore, someone came up to me with a leaflet and was just like, will you take this leaflet? I was like, no, I don't really want to take the paper, but I'll have a conversation with you. And he was just like, so what's your religious background? I was like, well, because I had my mala beads on. And he was just like, so what do you do with those beads? I was like, I pray and meditate with them. He was like, well, I don't know about meditation. And then that's when I was just like, so riddle me this. You do know my favorite scripture in the Bible is, sir? He's like, I was like, and he didn't know what he was walking into. And my favorite scripture in the Bible is, be ye transformed be not of this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, which is as yogic and as dharmic as it gets. And I was like, sir, yoga made me a better Christian. Dharma made me a better yogi. I'm all of these things at the same time. So when you tell me about being worried about my meditation practice, I'll tell you I'm worried about your Christian practice, because like I hold space for all because God is all, and you hold space for something that isn't even suiting my needs. And needless to say that you didn't really know what to do with that, but I had the opportunity to show grace because I don't hold all the answers either. I'm missing something. But I know that if I were to like write him off instead of engage him, that wouldn't give him the opportunity to find like the path, capital P, that I found. So because when I said to him, yoga made me a better Christian and Dharma made me a better yogi, he was like, I was like, it's all together. Like one got me here, this got me here. And if I put it all together, I am not just of service to myself and my healing and liberation. It offers a permission structure for other people to entertain different spiritual paths, as opposed to what's being forced down our throat.
Thank you, Reggie.
Thanks, Reggie.
All right, Travis, last,
Oh, yeah, one more. Okay.
one more.
I appreciate you taking my question. I know we're beyond time, so appreciate that.
We're beyond time. I love that. We're beyond time.
Beyond space and time.
I just want to honor, thank you for everyone that put the poems to all of you. To read Larry's poetry is powerful, but to hear it from embodied in your voices and the way that you read them was like, woof, I got goosebumps. So thank you so much. It was and I'm so, Reggie, this is the first time I'm meeting you and experiencing some of your teachings, and I'm so excited to have you here. I'm a big sound guy, so I love your gongs. I'm kind of jealous of your collection. So I kind of wanted to ask you, Reggie, you were talking about the power of joy in these times, in these really challenging times. So I kind of had two questions. One is what practices do you connect with to stay, that help you connect and stay connected to that joy? And also how can we experience your gongs?
So Active Peace Yoga is my website. If you're in the DC area, Maryland area, like these gongs live in Maryland, and given the trajectory of DC, these gongs will be in service in Maryland quite a lot over the next 2 years. But I also do a lot of virtual practice because I used to be a sound roadie, among other things. And so when sound practice became like the deepest of mindfulness practices for me, I was like, I want to play this for other people, but I was like, I don't want to go everywhere. So I've got like a mic set up here and like a mixer down right by my left leg. So the sound that is rendered here is as good as, especially if you have on like a Beats headphones or something like that. It allows this one woman who's like a devout meditator came to a Halloween sound practice that I had. So Phil, here's your request granted. So these random pipes that I have here sound super spooky, and I played them on Halloween. And she's like, in comments after the sound practice, was like, I've meditated for 35 years, and where you took me in 25 minutes because of these sounds, I was just like, yeah, that's the beauty of presence and the limitlessness. So we are conditioned to be small, whereas sound connects us to the formless being, capital B, that we emerge from and return to, right? So that is, you can active peace yoga, but that's how sound has manifested as a mindfulness practice for me. Especially, the last thing I'll say about that is that we as a society are talking too much. I live in DC. People won't STFU. Y'all are adults. You know what STFU stands for. And so since everyone is blah, 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 what medicine is this? Right? So that's how sound in my sound ministry has been made manifest. As it pertains to joy practice, the stroke was my deepest teacher. At 49 years old, I couldn't walk. Shit, right? Like I went from able-bodied to not, like that. And so the presence of being, hey, I just had this ridiculous experience, yet I'm still here. It's been the constant repetition of yet I'm still here, and the deep embodiment of that gratitude, yet I'm still here, combined with sound. So when I would go to the doctor and they'd be like, your prognosis is such and such, I was like, actually, I'm not even this body. Like I'm the energy, like I'm that. Like, so I'm going to ask that what it wants to do with this, right? And that was like, we're going to have a miraculous recovery, sir. And you're going to have to testify about this miraculous recovery through sound and mindfulness practice. And so the consistent communing with that and the depth that I now have to what I truly am and how I can truly serve, that to have that level of clarity at midlife is joy. Right? There are a lot of people who are walking around with no connection to anything, but I'm connected to ancestors and ancient wisdom in service to modern times. Joy. I can walk again after not being able to walk. Joy. I can talk to you and not have fatigue. I mean, Peggy and Larry saw me 2 months into my experience. Like I was out of walking. Walking was so difficult for me, but I still did it. And that fortitude combined with the grace of deep practice has yielded just a level of wisdom that I embody and share with others. Joy, right? Adversity is not the end of the story. And we as a community, spiritual and cultural, tend to get caught up in, oh, bad things happen to you. It's a thing that happened to you and that you can have the experience. I give gratitude for that. And, people think that's weird, but I'd rather live in grace and gratitude than critique and misery.
Reggie, thank you.
I feel your joy. Thank you, Reggie.
Sure.
Thank you, Reggie.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us for this celebration of Dr. Larry Ward. Thank you, Peggy.
Yeah, I had 4 words I wanted to say. And
Yes.
sorry, I left because the postman came. My deepest desire in this moment is to be a poem and live a prayer that encourages more love in this world. Dr. Reverend Larry Ward. So thank you so much. Reggie, Emmanuel, Phil. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you, everyone.
So much
Check
love.
Thank you, and thank you for bringing Tashi.
Well, that was the mailman. It was quite an event here.
Check out tricycle.org, check out the lotusinstitute.org. Thank you all very much.
Thank you
Bye-bye.
So
See
much.
you soon.
You.
Peace and love. Thank you.
Thanks, Reggie.
Love you.
Awesome.
Love to everybody.